All right, everybody, welcome to the 1016 Man podcast. And man, I'm excited to be with my guest today, Todd Stabelfeldt, who is been a friend for a long time. We haven't connected in, man, it's been
minutes.
It has been some minutes, man. And but it's good, man. God's timing is always good. He's gracious to that. And but Todd is a husband. He's a father. He's a friend. He is an entrepreneur. He's a speaker, a businessman. Wears a lot of hats. And part of his story that we'll touch on today is that he is a quadriplegic who had an accident many years ago with a gun, and we'll get into that story. But man, I'm really excited to have you here today.
Thanks, brother.
Or to be here.
Yeah. He's in the cathedral.
The cathedral, man.
Yeah.
I love
welcome
it.
to worship, man. We're non-denominational in the cathedral.
Yeah, and I love it, man, that you, when I was talking to you the other day, you brought up, that you call this a cathedral.
Yeah.
And, which is a little bit different. So why don't you tell people about where we're at, why it's called the cathedral?
Well, sure. Well, I'll first start with how it got its name. Everybody in the quad squad were like, you got to name the house, man. And the quad squad, by the way, are other disabled people, obviously quad squad. And we're quadriplegic by day and quadriplegic by night, but it's disabled humor, by the way. It's okay to laugh if you're insensitive. And wait a minute, what? Anyways, that's weird. We were building this house, and baby girl, my wife, her given name is baby girl, and she was all fatigued up. She was getting home on doing what's doing, and we were here, and I don't remember what stage the house was, but we were on the side of the house towards the back. And I don't know, man. I don't know where this old Jerry, I don't know where he came from, but it was like a chicken coop fence that sort of separated our property line. And he's this old dude, man. He was olded out, and he had sweats on, which didn't look right. And then one of the strings was longer, like down to his kneecap. And I was like, man, this old man's struggle bus. And he looks at me and he goes, "What are you?" And Karen, the trained warrior, jumped behind a tree because she didn't want to interact with him. So now it's just me and old Jerry. And I looked at him and I said, "Human." And because that's what I am. And he said, no. Is this a temple? And he pointed at the house. And I said, "No, man, it's the cathedral." And he said, "Oh," and he turned around and walked away. Never saw him again. I was like, "Babe, it's the name of the house called the cathedral."
So did you really come up with that on the fly?
Right there. Just boom, boom, boom. You can come up with your best work when someone asks who you are, and you come back with human, right? that's how I got to answer. But yeah, he thought I was at Jehovah's Witness, and this was a temple. And I said, "No, we love Jesus for sure, man. And we non-denominational in this mug. It's what we call the cathedral." And it just sort of stuck. So yeah, that's just what it was and what it is. And I never called myself the Quad Father. And that was sort of given to me. But then, again, a bunch of story. But when I was able to get my iPhone and Siri was like, "What's the nickname?" I said, "Well, I'll use Quad Father because that's what everybody says." And I didn't really think much about that. And then when we were doing that Apple commercial, and I didn't have my headset on because I obviously for obvious reasons, so everybody could hear what my phone was saying when I was asking for the phone to do something. And then Siri just came back with "Yes, Quad Father." And then the director was like, "Wait a minute, Siri calls you Quad Father?" And I was like, "Bro, you in the cathedral? Okay, this is the father role." And so then that's why they named that commercial Quad Father. Oh, sir, thank you. Gotta love home pods and all the other things they're listening. But yeah, that's sort of how the nickname came. And this is just a customized house that me and baby girl put together. We'll be in there 9 years now, this October, I believe. Dude, we love this place, man. This is an amazing home. I never thought I'd be able to live in something like this or be a part of something like this. I think I took maybe 3 or 4 showers since 1987 to 2015. I I didn't know what taking a shower was, and now I get to take a shower pretty much every night. You know what dignity comes with a shower? I mean, you start breaking it down, Mugs, and I got a good gig, dude. It's a sad PhD of pain and suffering, for sure, for sure, for sure. But man, I just choose the joy when you can get it, smile when you can, and just be around good things.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's awesome because so for people that don't, I mean, this is like you got like 4 foot wide doors inside.
yeah, bro.
You got concrete floors.
Yeah.
Your bathroom is the size of like 3 bedrooms. That's your shower. It's like
This to me, this is the episode of my 600-pound life. Like this is a different level. Because I am 600 pounds. Being in a wheelchair. But yeah, no, the house is big and baby girl's big. Man, I married. Not trying to be offensive. Not like she, bigged out like accent wide. She's tall. She's Amazon. And I married Bryn of Tarth. If anybody's a Game of Thrones people. And I am the crippled version, of Tormund, straight up, right? So it's Tormund, and we Brandon Tormund, we getting it done, and we were in a trailer for a minute before we got into this place, and I think we were a little bit shell shocked because it was like a single trailer with some pop outs that were from like '81 that my parents and my grandparents had built, and I think we were just scared to. I don't want to be in the same because we had nurses and 3 dogs and kids. So we built the quadriplegic, and it's definitely a little bit big. I mean, you could put the trailer in our living room, and so for the first like 8 months, we all just sat in this room, which is my office, and then we finally sort of expanded out a little bit. But yeah, baby girl, I just don't want to be the biggest thing in the room. When she was taking a shower in the trailer, she couldn't put her arms up. She
she hadn't washed her arms for like, under her arms for 2
she
years.
had like bend over a little bit, and then the water came out like she's getting peed on. It was just she's just like, man, I need me some water pressure, bro, and whatnot. So yeah, we just living and smiling, and she broken, I'm broken, we broken together, and we got broken dogs, the cats all broke up, and we just broken people, and a house that just loves and supports.
Man, I love that, brother. Yeah, and you touch on that brokenness. You touch on the the way that you choose to live, and you're not hiding behind. You're not hiding that fact.
Not at all.
Okay, so let's go back to the early years, and
Okay.
yeah, and to those moments, and kind of walk us through
Okay.
a little bit because
Sure.
I think it's important. What I want to do with this podcast is that bring people along on a journey, right? Journeys that look different,
Mm-hmm.
and for people to pull out what is it that this is around raising young boys.
Mm-hmm.
It can be applicable to people of all ages, but also it could be applicable to young girls. But what I like to do is bring people along and other people's stories to see, okay, what was the moment that they made a choice? What are the ways that they are overcoming struggles and stuff like that? And so, yeah, it's important for me to hear and for others to hear. Yeah, what was it like? What's the early years like?
Sure. All right. So, as because I've seen now a couple episodes of your podcast. So I grew up in the same town that you grew up in, Belfair, Allen, Greatview, that area of Washington. And so I would say that, because I don't know how far back, but so I was born late 70s, 79, and dad, mom, and sister. And then unfortunately, dad died when I was, I think, almost 4. So we just say 4 because I think it's almost 4. But Bruce is his name. Good dude, I think, for what he was, what he is, and what he could be, and whatnot. So Bruce popped off in a bad motorcycle accident on Highway 3 by the airport there. So then that was his mom and Christy, and mom was a small business owner, Gwen's Special Touch, beauty salon. She's been cutting them hair since like 3rd grade, and so she was doing that. So we became like that latchkey kid concept back in the day. Sister, her name's Christy. By everybody got nicknames. Sister is 4 years older than I am, so she was 8 at the time. Now, I said that we all lived on what I still call it the fishbowl. So everybody's, right close to each other on the same property back in the day. So grandma and grandpa were next door. My grandpa, this is a Southern Alabama dude. His name's Odell, and Odell Grady, which everybody laughs at because like he's the only white guy named Odell Grady. Even my black friends are like something different, something different, and I was like, well, he was like child number 13 or something. But so Papa was what we called him, and so he was sort of like the next, almost like my own father figure, if you will, and whatnot. So between 4 years of age and 8 years of age, it was just my mom, my sister, grandma, and grandpa next door, and then I had great grandma and grandpa as well next door, that were snowbirds. But when they weren't in Arizona, they were here, and so that was just sort of the scene. Sad statistics everywhere. I'm one of those dudes. And then in '87, so now I'm 8. My mom, she decides to remodel her bedroom, and I just, it's just so funny now I think about all that stuff. But I used to organize her closet. I'm a shoe dude. I've been a shoe dude since a zygo, bro. Just shoe it up, and so I was always in charge of making her shoes look good in her closet. Well, there were some guns in the closet, but the shoes, man, I had to get them shoes, on point. So sometimes I would see the guns. There was like 3 or 4 of them. I saw there's like an ammo box and like bullets and stuff like that. But it wasn't. I think I even one time I unzipped a case to like, ooh, what's in there, but that was about it. And so back to the shoe thing. So get her on point, get her dialed up, and that summer she remodels her room. Thanks, just so I ain't gonna touch this microphone. Cripple joke. Insensitive. But we're back in the game, and so she put all my dad's guns and bullets and stuff in a spare bedroom, and then all of a sudden now they were like now it was almost like a thing. Like, oh wow, these are out, And so my cousin, at the time he was 11, Mike, and I guess real quick in parentheses, I got no beef, I got no shade, I got no issues with anybody in my story. Okay, we've all done therapies and praise and discussions, and some people find their own vehicle. It's a little bit different than the vehicle I'm in. But man, I make sure this podcast comes out right. I'm just getting little snips. I got no issues with anybody. All right, cool. So, I think it's like a Wednesday night. We're playing with these guns, me and Mike doing our thing. And then Thursday morning, get up. I was one of those dudes that slept with mama, right? Could never sleep by my own self. There's probably something there too, but that's not that podcast. And so we was in bed, and Mike said, "Hey, let's play with the guns." Wasn't too pumped to play with the guns because I had a little sleepy baby. I'm like that, 11-hour baby, but we got in the mix, and it was a Thursday morning, August 13th, '87. One thing leads to another, and then boom, I get shot with a 22. It wasn't a serious, crazy caliber. It was a rifle, one of those tube-fed magazine type rifles. And I remember my dad with that rifle back when I was like a little dude, but anyways, so I got shot, and and that's a whole nother. We could spend, we could do a long podcast and spend 9 hours on that. But it was rough and horrible. I didn't dip out. I was just laying there, bleeding out everywhere. Man, I'll never forget the amount of blood coming out of my face, and it was like a squirt gun. It was like, it was just weird seeing that. I was spraying this fan down. I'll just never forget that. It was a white fan, and I was looking at it, and the blood just smashing it, and I was like, oh man, I might not make it out of this one. Because I was a bit of a rough rider. I was getting in trouble a lot. I got kicked out of school. Great, great. You asked my mom, please don't bring him back, for second grade. This guy's a little terrorist. And, I'd beat up their people, and I'd just smashing stuff and doing things that you're not supposed to do, jumping out of buses, peeing on buses. I mean, I was just this nasty little dude. I get on my motorcycle and drive down the road in the middle of the road. Highway 3, group loop road. You doing 30, 40 miles an hour on a four-wheeler, just going down the middle and making cars go around you. You 7?
Dude, that's wild, man.
Right? I mean,
well, yeah, you're by yourself, man.
dude, you know, but I had my little camouflage backpack on with that sticker that said, I love Jesus. It was, I heart Jesus. Had a sandwich in there, had a knife, you know. Just, I don't know, man. I have a different story. I feel like I was an adult from the beginning, and I was a pissed off little dude too. And it was almost like just a taunting, you know, come get me. You know, you want some of this, let's do it. And anyway, so you know, I got stricken down with a bullet, and there's a whole story there. But there's, you know, several weeks at Harbor View. You know, I'll never forget. I always tell the same story, but I'll never forget, man, dude. Mark Nutman, man, he was you know, paramedic and firefighter and all that stuff. And I knew him, and you know, he was like my swimming teacher, and only homeboy ever looked good in speedos rolling deep. You know, it's like, and now I know too. Like all the mothers were always excited. You know, Mr. Nutman coming out in them speedos, looking tough and right, and and whatnot. And he knew my dad and stuff like that. And he told me, I don't know, years ago that he knew I was a cool little kid, and I had some, you know, I had some issues, and I was special. But he said, you know, I was start crying. It's gonna be weird. He just, I guess the day before I got shot, they had just re-gravelled the loop road, and me and Michael, cousins, we were out doing our thing. He was getting ready to pull out onto the road from where he lives, and a little girl, you know, got in a bike wreck because of the gravel, and she ran right into his vehicle. And he said it was really interesting because I just stopped what I was doing. I was on the other side of the road. I just stopped what I was doing, ran over there, and was like right in the mix. Like, what do we need to do? How do we need to help this? And he was like, you know, add that up with all the stuff that I was teaching you for swimming classes. You just, yeah, you were upset about stuff, man. You had a lot going on in your story as a young little dude, but man, you just had a heart for service. You know, you just want to take care of people and whatnot. And so, anyway, next day is when I got shot, and Nutman first on the scene because he only lived like 2 minutes from the house. You know, and he knew that he knew I had a spinal cord injury right off the bat because I had a piriformism, which I think in parentheses means erection, and that usually is a sign of trauma and something with the spinal cord. So he knew at that point we had some issues to deal with. He chose not to tell that out loud, you know, to my mom, who had been rushed home from the beauty shop, and my grandma. It was just a scene, bro. It felt like there was 30 people in the house, and we finally got helicoptered up there in the Allen docks, over by that Bubba's, you know, burger joint, and then Harbor View for X number of weeks, and then, you know, did the whole up and down, is going to make it scene, and that's again more story there. And then transferred to Children's, and I was there for 10 months, and you know, did rehab, and that was all 87, 88, and that was sort of the start, you know, of the game, you know, just what I call the game. And you know, my mom making it really clear, and again, no beef, no shade, man. I love my mom. She's one of my besties. She just made it super clear, like an hour after they got home. You know, I ain't here to take care of you. I didn't shoot you. You know, you done that all up on yourself. And my whole life isn't going to be taking care of you. So I'm going to give you 2 years of grace. She called it tough love. And she said I had till the age of 20, and I had to be out of the house, either going to school, got a job, doing something. And then my grandpa, Papa next door, Odell Grady, he just, you a young little grown man. Yeah. There was no specialness, man. There was no specialness. And it was just me and sweet Michelle, like the only crippled people in town. And, and so my job was to get her to classrooms. I remember that. And I'm like a blind lady holding onto a quad, you know, like get me to the room, bro. And I'd be like, all right, let's do it. You run her over, you know, because she always wanted to go fast. And I thought it was really funny, but you know, that was just sort of my scene, dude. That was just sort of where it was at growing up. And
So that's 8 years old.
yeah.
So 8 years old. By that time, you lost your dad, traumatic way.
Yep.
You go through your own trauma.
Yep.
And now mom's like, all right, hey man, you're doing this on your own.
I didn't shoot you.
I didn't shoot you. And at 20, you're rolling out of the house.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Wow.
9
years old when she told me that. So yeah,
she told you when you were 9 years old that you're leaving when you're 20.
Yeah, 2 years of grace.
2 years of grace. Wow, man.
Tough love. You use the words.
But how has that changed your outlook on life?
Dude, now, shoot, now you get some lawyers up in there. I'd be suing mom, right? She was saying stuff like that. Nowadays, for me, because everybody, a lot of ask questions and, who are you and what are you doing? And I don't know. I think I'm one of those dudes that just gets up and does what he's told type of dude. I'm married in the military. I always wanted to be in the military. I don't like, I'm real service oriented. I don't know. I know I have struggled with authority for sure. But at the same time, I don't know. I just see it a little bit different. And then when she put that on me at 9, and again, no beef and no shade, I just remember, I'll show you. And because that's just my personality. And well, hell, man, if your mom is bringing you the word that says, I'm giving you 2 years of grace, you out in 20, you know, some of that had to spill off her onto him. I'm just a little version of my mom, and we have the same personality, same style, same approach. And I left my parents' house when I was 16. So I was like, watch this. Now, I look back now, because I'm 45 now, and some of my processes are a little bit different. But no, I did, man. I got paralyzed. I was 8 years old when I got paralyzed, and I started working full time as a software developer at 18, 1997, like Jan 14. So within 11 years of getting paralyzed, I went K through 12. I went post secondary, got my associates, and and they got a full time job as a quadriplegic. My job was on Bainbridge Island. I lived in Renton. I get a ferry boat every day. I mean, you talk about young blood just getting into it.
Yeah, man.
Grace of God, man. Grace of God.
Yeah, and I want to pull over and detour, stay on that,
Sure.
stay young for a second.
Let's do it.
But man, that's like you mentioned, in today's climate, um, we do throw shade at people who are like that tough love, but there is love there, right? I mean,
For sure.
because what's the alternative?
Yeah.
The alternative is, poor Todd,
Yeah.
and laying that on you, because that's a heavy burden,
Yeah.
right? To
Yeah.
poor Todd.
Yeah.
He's going to be a quadriplegic the rest of his life, and it's going to be hard for him. And I'm going to take care of you. I'm going to be here for you.
Yeah.
Like there's some love in that as well.
Yeah, it's got the word tough in front of it, but it is love.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
There's something to be said about how it was done back in the day versus how it's done now, for the most part.
100%. So, but you were an 8-year-old boy who is riding with his hair on fire down the middle of the road, getting in trouble. And now you're not running and jumping. You're not playing ball on a team. You're not living, quote unquote, an ordinary life.
Not at all.
Did you feel like you were on the sidelines? What was that time? I mean, those young times. Can you remember that stuff?
Yeah, too. It's not that I was popping pillies, back in those days. In my mind, again, I'm not a psychologist. I just play one on TV, but I just remember, like, I think the first 5 years of you getting cripped up, you just trying to live. So first 5 years, in my opinion, are gone. Like 5 to 10, you're trying to establish, like, is this the new normal? And then like 10 post, man, you're just like, okay, this is my scene. This is where I'm at. And then you get post 20 and you're a little bit like, oh, wow, this is forever. And you start playing some real tight ball in them 20s. And I'm 36 now, years in, and now just complete OG status. But man, I just remember it was just focused on getting up every day, getting it going. I don't know. like before we started this, we were talking about some of the people that, do you know these people? Do you know these people? I don't remember much, in them young years, because I think I was so focused on just getting up, getting it done, every day. Now again, I'm not drinking or pills. It was just trauma, little kid stuff. How do you just get through it? My freshman year, oh man, freaking being a bulldog. I remember ninth grade. I was having problems with my catheters, condom catheters, which is basically a little rubber, you put on your pecker, and it's got a little hole at the end. You plug it into a tube, and that's how you pee. Well, for some reason, and now I know a little more about my history, I had an allergy to latex, but just didn't really know that, right? So, and that's how them condoms are all made out of latex, right? So I was pissing my pants like every day, and my mom putting up with that, and we got to get this straightened up. So my whole freshman year, I wore a diaper. So every day, man-sized diaper, on a freshman, because the man-sized diapers soaked up a little bit more. And then she pop a few rags in there to help soak up a little bit more. I get home, with a peed up diaper, get changed into a new diaper, and then that's the rest of my day. Man, you ain't gonna get no ladies when you wearing diaped ups. You know what I'm saying, bro? So my freshman year was just, I look back now and I sat higher in my wheelchair because I got that damn diaper on. And then my steering wheel had to be adjusted, but it couldn't elevate anymore. So they had to pitch it. So now you're driving, you're just looking like moron, with that adult diaper. And then your buddies like, man, bro, you stinking. So then you stop drinking fluids, right? Because you don't want no pee-pees. And then now you got bladder infections. Now you want every day drinking Cipro because I didn't like taking pills. So I had the fluids, grape Cipro, blah, blah. Mom just pop it out the fridge, take a little syrup, just hit it like you waking up doing some Crown. It was just, I look back at those days and I just, oh my God. But yeah, I think I was just more focused on getting to the day, and just trying to look good and fresh out with my drip, which means totally different when you cripple, by the way. The drips and the struggle, it's just like, nah, that's like an old man got prostate issues, or you crippled up. That's when we said we got them drips. But man, them young years, dude, I'm just glad they're gone and they're over. I would not want to do this. I could not do quadriplegia over again. And that's why my heart hurts when I hang out with the young bloods. And that's why I love the young bloods, because it's just, man, if you can learn anything from this guy, dude, just take it. So, I do embrace the quad father figure and do what I can for all the homies. And there's not too many ladies, man. The ladies don't make them dumb decisions like the dudes do. So most of the crew is dudes. There's a couple ladies up in it, but for the most part, it's all dude. So
did you struggle mentally?
Try not to swear on this podcast.
Go for it.
Dude, bro, I drop F-bombs like being Baghdad. I swear all the time. And I'm actually okay with it, which is gonna sound weird, but my mom, if she listened to this, she's not gonna like that answer. But dude, mentals, bro. I mean, Marshawn talking about taking care of your chickens, taking care of your bodies, and taking care of your mentals. And man, it's a mental thing every day, even at 45, 36 in the game. But yeah, I was a hot mess for sure. Between I'd say 16 to 25, man, I was just pissed at it, the whole scene, frustrated. Why is this happening? And but at the same time, you couldn't put that out to people, because I learned quick. Nobody wants to hang out with an angry crippled dude, right? No one, you ain't gonna get shit done if you pissed. So you professional, articulate. So I definitely had my outer Todd and then my inner one. And my inner one was a butcher. And he butched. Ooh, he was so good at just ruining that little 8-year-old, man. He spanked and beat that 8-year-old, shut up, get in the corner, and don't ever come out. You know your role. And but then on the outside, it was like, oh no, inspo, look at this dude. He's up in the game. He's getting it handled. But man, internal Todd, I feel bad for him. That's why, later in my days, I gave him some love, and we all good now. But yeah, it was, my mentals are serious, man. It's, I don't know where to go on that other than it's real and it's a fight, and it's so easy to give up, and it's so easy just to narc out and drink out and disappear. And the world wants me to disappear for the most part. They all say they don't want you to, and you're brave and all this BS. But man, they'll certainly write you a script real quick. And so I learned the hard way that no, this is going to have to start with me. It's going to have to be with me. And it's going to be with me until Jesus willing. Maybe, is there a 65-year-old Todd? Is there a 72? T? I mean, how long did this bro make it? Because I'm so far off the runway at this point. I'm just in the woods, just having a good time, just starting a fire and just playing, eating hot dogs. Because science and medicine said, no, you ganked out, man. You'd be done when you were 20. Shoot, 45. I turned 45 like a month and a half ago. And I'm still here? Okay, well, if that means I'm still here, that means I'm still producing some ROI. And not getting all weird, but, my Jesus might be a little bit different than yours. But my Jesus runs a business, and he wants his business to be in the profit and the greens. And if he's getting some ROI from something, he's gonna keep working it. But when that ROI gone, okay, time for homeboy to come home. Now I'll be cool going home. I'll be running around, I'll pop old Job in the throat, because I think I got some mix with Job. But no, man, you hear until he says no. So you produce ROI, and that's the sort of where my mind goes. So
Yeah. So
I need you to help me out, man. I need a drink of that tea, bro. Okay, so this will be fun. This is the first podcast ever. You're going to do this. Here, hold it right there. Thank you. Baby girl told me I needed a hobby. And so she said, you should drink tea. And so I got into it, bro. I didn't know tea was in that tight of a game, dude. There's science and there's a user preference.
Is this sugar tea?
Is what?
Is this sugar in your tea?
Sugar?
Yeah. Is there sugar in that tea?
You mean like if I add something to it?
Yeah.
No, bro. I'm pure.
That's straight up.
Dude, this is loose leaf pure, bro.
This is not like Midwest, Southern.
No, dude. If I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it the way I'm going to do it. No, I steep it up. I got the little boiler pot, no. I got little jars with little wooden lids, and I got little baby spoons that are just like measured perfect to be the perfect size. I got my place in Sumner that I go to, a little bit of tea madam. And no, bro, I'm bringing some loose leaf, for a little bit slightly fermented green tea. And it's made by a company called Pure, or something like a Puree. I don't know how to say the word, but no, man, I'm a tea dude. I drink 2 teas a day. Tea in the morning, tea in the afternoon.
All right. So that moment there, I mean, that's kind of your life, right?
Dude, you just got in the club, bro.
Got in the club. Like
you in.
Because from a young age, you had to have somebody helping you with everything.
Yep. You on a ferry boat going back between, Bainbridge and Seattle, and by yourself. Okay. And you hungry. What you gonna do? You got some monies, in your wallet, but you can't go get that candy bar. So it's like, what do? I'm gonna find the hottest woman on this boat, and I'm gonna go ask her, hey. So I found this little Australian lady. She was dope as dope, and I was like, hey, you want to give me a little bit of sugar? She looked at me like,
let's see where that goes,
dude. She looked at me like I was freaking Make-A-Wish, and she's like, and I said, I just need a little candy bar. You okay? You okay hooking up? Bro, I got the monies, but could you hook me up with them Snickers? And she's like, yeah. So anyways, that's how I played that. But no, dude, you got to learn how to bring it in a way that makes people comfortable. And I have a million stories of just total strangers interacting with me, some positive, some negative. But yeah, man, you just got to experience a little bit about what it's like to be in the life.
Yeah. So kind of run us through a day to day for you, man. Because when I called you and you're like, yeah, I'm, 10:30, let's wait till 10:30 because I'm going through a morning routine. And I imagine that you have a routine that's kind
Mm-hmm.
of changed through time,
Mm-hmm.
and you're perfecting that. And yeah, so what does it look like?
Yeah, bro. So again, blessed to be here, grateful to be here. And I just got a different life, man. I got the medical team that takes care of me personally, and then I have my company and that whole team. So I just feel like I'm like the hub on a wheel, and you got these spokes, and all the spokes are the humans in the game, and every spoke operates different. So you're trying to bring a level set of this is a Michael Gerber reference back in the day. So what I did in my story is I made quadriplegia essentially a business, and people run systems, systems run businesses. Okay. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to systematize quadriplegia, and that's going to help me with the humans because the humans, man, humans are humans and they get weird quick. And in the care space, man, there's some strange humans in that game. And so you try to find the right ones. And what I found over years and years and years and years is developing systems and processes that everybody has a structure. They might do it with a flair and might do a little different. That's fine. Dot dot dot. There's a structure. So at this time, like today and tomorrow, etc. We just a couple nurses just got back from some vacations. So my morning routine typically starts at 6:30 a.m. It used to start earlier, but that's not the scene as much as it used to be, and that's fine. No beef, no shade. And so the day shift nurse is here between 6:30 and 2:30, pretty much every day. If I want to get up quick, just skip all things and get up, that's an hour. Okay, so this quick is different than from UABs. That's able bodied, by the way. Okay, ABs. And whatnot. So I would say on a standard morning, probably takes me an hour and a half to 2 hours to get in the wheelchair. It's the normal. Like if the previous night was a bowel program night, you that morning you got to check the butts, make sure the butts ain't doing any more things that they should or shouldn't be doing. Right, so that takes a little bit of time. I flush my bladder, with fluid, saline solution type stuff. I don't. I always tell people funny. I'm a baller. I don't even use my urethra because that's like the level status. When you bypass to the urethra, this game's tight. And so I go through a tube out my abdomen area in the suprapubic area, and so you got to flush that catheter. You got to flush that bladder. You got to do range of motion. You got to check the body. If you looked at my iPhone, you throw up, right? Terabytes of ass and dick pics, and knee pics, and but you gotta be schizophrenic, on that level if you want to maintain and you want to stay in that place and space. So pictures of everything, toes, it's just what it is. And then you get up in the chair. A couple things need to happen, with the nurses and just some routines and chart noting and stuff. And then you pivot to the grooming, right? And the grooming takes forever just because my personality and style. And I got really, really shitty skin, that's just sort of my scene. So you get to do all that. You got to get dressed, put on your whatever you're going to wear that day. And all the while, you got to make sure you drink, 3+ liters of fluid every day. So you pop in juices, and fluids every like 10 to 15. Most of my clients are East Coast and Central Time. So I'm up quick, right? I'm already have 40 emails by the time I get to my computer, regardless of what I did in my bed, checking my computer and stuff because I can use computers in both areas. And then usually my whole day is just filled with meetings, meeting after meeting after meeting after meeting, and then like around 4 o'clock, sort of my work day starts, right? And then you just work on some of your tasks, and then your night nurse comes at between 8 and 9, depending what night it is, and then you shower in, you emptying your butt, doing the bowel programs, Man, I douche my bladder 3 times a week while I'm in the shower with Renicedin, this nasty fluid that just burns stuff up. This ain't none of this is pretty, none of this is charming. And my wife's got multiple master degrees. My wife's been in battle, right? My wife's seen some things, done some things. And you're just like, bad man, you signed up, you got in. Girl, this is a special club, And she made it clear that if I pop off at some point, she probably won't be done, in the game. She might want to marry an AB, and so I get it, man. I totally get it. But she's a rock star, and she's just with me. She just rolls with me, right now in the scene, keeping it very current, very present. We all in the industry having some struggle with nurses, in the care component. So right now I got 2.5 nurses and I got 1 CNA. So that leaves Friday, Saturday, and Sunday PM. There's no nurse. Sometimes we can get one on a Friday or a Saturday, like maybe once or twice a month. But for the most part, baby girl, it's put me to bed, on 2 or 3 nights a week. Some of my homeboys, man, some of their people's doing it every day. So, it's just a real struggle right now. But anyways, it's a lot of this, a lot of that to get it done. I don't know. It's what it is, man. 45, getting it done. And just grateful to have the people I have around me to willing to do it.
Yeah. And you're the one that guides and sets those systems and has created those systems.
Well, what's nice is that I created my own version of that. But then I got introduced to like nursing, like RNs and LPNs and like an actual nursing agency. And then they took it to a whole nother level. So yeah, since 2014-ish, I've had mostly nurses care for me through an agency in Seattle, North Seattle, actually called Ballard. And I mean, just uh, because I had to do some legal stuff, when I look back at all of my ER visits, in hospital stays, mind blow. And when I pivoted to nurses and them caring for me and actually following their lead, I haven't been in a hospital since 2014.
Oh, wow.
I think I've done 2 ER visits.
Dang. And so, and
Game change.
before that, I mean,
Shit, man, I was in there every other week. You know, just I just remember poor freaking Norm and Jamie, some of these old birds that used to help me, man. I'd be like, well, Bainbridge, and be getting the van, like, what's up? I'm like, I got dyslexia real bad. And like, you need to be cath on. I said, yeah, man. Be safe, but do you think you could do like 80 down 305 and get on 3? And I said, honestly, if you do 90, I'm okay with that because we get pulled over. Maybe the fuzz will help us get to the hospital quicker, and then, cause these guys were like, okay, so it's that bad. I'm like, yeah, basically I can't even see you anymore. Jamie, everything's blots and blurs, and I got a headache that's about to pop. So if I have a stroke or heart attack, maybe don't even go the rest of the way. If you're okay with that, just let me die. And you get the ER and you do the dumbass triage stuff, and then after a while they start to know you. You're like, you need to be cath, because at that point I was using a condom catheter, so my internal my sphincters down there in the peepees would be all shut up, and the bladder had like 1,000 milliliters in it. Right, you just need to be cath. But who was cathing? Nobody was. I didn't have people that were able to do that. And then I started training people how to do that. And oh my God, internal bleeding. Oh, yeah, I screwed up on putting it in. And now you're in the hospital for 4 days. It was just it was a nightmare. Again, grace of God, I'm even still here. But I am. So I'm just trying to share all that to everybody who's going through it.
dang.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah, that's rough, man.
It's sad. It's sad on a lot of levels.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
but you
but
you allowed people into your life.
Yep.
You created systems.
Yep.
You got out of the house at 16, soldiered on.
We'll show you, mama.
You create so what is that? What was your first business?
So It's so funny because I'm actually in the same industry, and I just didn't know I'd love this industry as much as I do, but it makes sense because of my story. But and again, so many legal discussions here in 2024. But I so I finished so I finished college. Okay, I'm 17. It's like July or something, and they're like, "Well, the degree's not valid yet because you don't even have a high school diploma." So like, why don't you go get your GED? And I was like, pregnant women get GEDs and dum dums. No, I'm getting a diploma. And it's like, okay, well, we got to find a school.
So when you say you got a college degree
I got my associates.
at
Yes.
17,
Yeah.
but you don't have but
Yeah.
they want you to go back and get a.
It was not validated. So so I went to a school called Lindbergh in Renton. Um, I, I couldn't tell you where it's at. Okay. So I was like 2.5 credits short of a high school diploma. So they had a tutor come to my apartment in Renton, and and I had to read some books and do some math. And they were a little bit like, "Oh wow, you different. Yeah, you different." So it took me like a month and a half, and I graduated high school. So now I'm like, August of 17. I'm 17 years old. I got my associates. Now I have my high school diploma. And then like the reality just hits me of like, bro, you ain't going to med school. Well, you ding dong. This whole place is broken. Like, you gonna try to go down to California? You can't even make it out of Renton. You this whole world is tilt, man. If you want to go do something in your story, this is me talking to myself, okay? They're like, you gotta go be wealthy, By the way, that didn't happen. And you gotta be a boss. Like you want it, then you go get it. And it was like, screw this. This is all jacked. So I just started going through the PI, Seattle PI, and I applied for every single technical job that was available. It was like 173 jobs or something. So I just using my modem, just spitting out res, boop, boop, boop. And I did some interviews with Microsoft, Eddie Bauer, and I can see it now. Like, I'd have been terrified if I was that HR person, trying to talk to a 17-year-old quadriplegic. Microsoft said I didn't have office skills. That's why they didn't hire me. And I was like, well, shit, lady, I can't staple. I got no staple skills, but I can learn things. I can do it with my mouth. And you could tell she was super uncomfortable. She was like, I said, I get it. To be honest, ma'am, if I was you, I'd be freaking out right now. I couldn't hire a 17-year-old quadriplegic. And she was like, thank you. So I remember Krusty's. I applied for Krusty's, the pancake mix crew. And at that point, you starting to get silly. You're writing dumb stuff on your cover letter. And, a fan of Krusty's, been eating Krusty's since 88. just trying to bring it, And so then I get a call back from this company. I remember this company on Bainbridge Island. I got a call back, and I knew this company was going to be banging because that modem, man, I hit that baud rate. I got 14.4 on that baud rate.
And I have no idea what that means.
Then don't worry about it. It's just super dope in 96. Okay. like dope. And so I got suited and booted. I got like second time maybe being ever on Bainbridge Island. And he was like, "Ooh, man, this is where the next levels live." And so I got in the job interview, and called him Snaggletooth because his tooth was crooked. And so he did the interview. Man, he asked me 3 questions, bro. He violated every rule he violated. He was like, "Why'd you get crippled?" So I told him, and he's like, "How much money you want?" And I was like, "Well, they said I can make like 50 grand." No, I ain't gonna pay you that. I'll pay you 25. And I was like, "Sounds good." And he's like, "Can you start tomorrow?" And I was like, "I need like 2 days to figure this out," because it was like, holy hell, man, how's quadriplegic gonna get from Renton to Bainbridge Island every day? But I figured it out, man. I figured it out. And then the caregiver, Ron, man, sweet Ron, Ron was like, "Bro, I'm making more monies than you are. We need to start cutting me back somehow." And I was like, wait a minute, you want a quadriplegic to commute on his own? Like, I'm on the ferry boat by myself? He's like, what? Don't you want to try to make some monies? And I'm like, all right. So I figured out how to do that. And then the stupid access bus thing for crippled people. Maybe the game's changed now, but man, back in '97 it blew, and they wouldn't show up, right? And you always make sure you had your dollar, because it cost you $1, and then half the time the bus driver wouldn't even take the money because it's like, hey, I'm a grown man, I ain't getting another grown man's wallet. And so then it was just like, this is busted balls. Why am I even doing this? So I would just start driving my wheelchair from the office to the ferry boat. I don't know who's doing that, dude. Just commuting at that level. And then a couple years later, my boss told me that he was taking advantage of me, and so he gave me a raise. It was like 55 grand at that point, and I just thought. Now I look back, I laugh my ass off a little bit because he just named it. He's like, I knew I could get you different because you're disabled.
Oh my gosh.
And but I learned a lot from
So
Snaggletooth.
so you're 17,
Well, at that
18
point,
years old,
I've been an 18-year-old for about a week, and
and you're making 55.
no, I was making 25 at that point. I just got my job, so they bumped me at 55 grand when I was 20.
Okay.
So I'd been there for a couple years.
So, but real quick, so we're
Sure.
16 years old. You're out on your own.
Yeah, I had to get emancipated. Yep. Living and renting.
And was that your own volition?
No, bro, you following the state rules, man. You gotta get any services, right, from the state or the gov. What does it say, the gov? You got to go through certain practices. So yeah, man, I had to get emancipated from my mom, and then my stepdad, who I feel is like my dad, Dan. Thank God my mom married him, and so he'd been my dad at that point for like a couple years. And so yeah, I had to become a ward, right? My own individual. And so that's what I had to do to finish out the schooling stuff. I had to go back to get that diploma in the high school. I had some different agencies come by to quote unquote help me, get a job, which was all BS. The homeboy got the job, and then obviously the Lord. So that's how that all played. But yeah, and so when I got my job a week after I turned 18, I was still getting social services. And so when I was 20, that's when social services was like, "Hey, game changer, you've been working since 18, but you shouldn't have been getting them bennies." So then they were like, 6 weeks to pay back all the money, or we're gonna garnish your wages. And I was like,
Dang.
what? So I called Mama Bear, and she handled some business. And I don't know how she handled it, but she handled it. And so I got an apology letter. They excused that was like 48, 50 grand or something. They excused that bill, and they said that you're done. So that's what made me go back to my boss, old Snaggles. And that's when he was like, yeah. I said, bro, you got to either bump me or I got to move into a sniff, which is a skilled nursing facility, right? That's what we say on the streets. And he was like, well, how about I just go and give you a raise? I should have been paying you more anyways. And disabled yard. And so then he bumped me up. And I thought I was like the ballingest kid because now I'm 20, right? I'm like 55 G's a year. Oh, look at me, right? Just basically squat nothing when you got to pay your caregiving bill because my medical bills were like 120 grand a year. And man, I was on payment plans with everybody. And that was nuts. Just trying to get through it, doing what I can at a job to get a pay raise and whatever I could to just maintain. You got to be independent. You got to have a job. The whole you grown ass little man. Well, now I'm a grown man. I'll show you, Grandpa. No, I'm grown. And it was just like, this is stupid. What are you doing? You're basically killing yourself. You basically have a job to pay to go up in your chair and to pay to go to bed at night. That's really where all your money went. Like my taxable income was like 18 grand a year. And my accountant was like, this is dumb. Why don't you just get on Medicaid, Medicare? Just be done with this. This is stupid. And I was like, you don't know me, brother. I'm a grown man. grown men work, grown men pay for their own bills, just that whole BS. It was just like, I don't know what that was or where that honestly actually came from, but that's what I lived for decades.
Yeah. So, I mean, which is, I mean, if you fast forward to 2020s, right, where there's 16-year-olds that are afraid to drive.
Yeah.
There's 16-year-olds that they don't know they don't not clean their room. They're not doing.
Yeah.
Now, granted, right, you have other people helping you, but you are scheduling those things. You're creating rides back and forth to go to work, to get to have a job, to pay for all of this stuff.
Yes, sir.
As a young man, I mean, it's incredible, right?
It's wild.
Yeah, yeah, and so so then walk me through getting to C4.
Yeah. So the industry, man, I really got a weird one with that last answer. That was like a 10-minute answer. So the industry that I got into that I didn't really know, but I did, is I worked for a company for 15 years, so Snaggles, and we made software for laboratories. So specimen tracking software, right? And then that just blew my mind because it was like, oh my gosh, I've been on the other side of the laboratory since I was 8. I mean, hours I'd spend in the ER waiting for my sputum to come back on. You got the pneumonias, right? Or you got that urine culture. A couple days later, what's it resistant to or not resistant, right? Now I'm on the side now that actually makes the software that gets the answers to those physicians and ultimately those people. So I was like, ooh, this is where I want to be. And then I had a real weird love for databases, them data, them ones and zeros. And I really like the idea that I'm a steward of this type of data because all those rows in those tables, man, those are people. Those are people like dealing with stuff. What's the next level? What type of cancer? What's the next level of the cancer? It's all these things in a laboratory space, right? Toxicology, clinical, anatomic, all of it. So it was really, really neat. And then, Snaggles was getting a little bit pissy at me because I was doing basically database administration services for all of our clients. And I just kept saying, I was like, Snaggle, man, these people pay us monies every month, but we don't take care of their databases. I mean, I get it now more as a 45-year-old than I did as a 19-year-old. But I'm like, shouldn't we be their DBA? And he's like, no, they don't pay us to do any of that. Well, maybe we could charge them to do that. No, you just stick with what you're supposed to do. And so I did sort of, on the side, I did a little bit of this, a little bit of that. No payment. It just felt like these are patients. Shouldn't we keep them the primary focus? So for 15 years, I was a VP of ops, right? I rose the ladder. I did the hiring and the firing, and we consolidated offices, and whatnot. Because at the point I was on Bainbridge, but it was like, why am I on Bainbridge when most of us are in Seattle? So I did all that normal routines and did all the ops and all that jazz. And what was funny was my cell phone number. It's been the same cell phone number since like 96, and or whenever cell phones came out. So my phone number was on sticky notes on a lot of server racks across the country. And so I'm clueless. So I get to that point now in my story where I'm like, man, Snaggles and I, law the lid. I can't grow past the lid. He's the lid, and his BP is the lid. Like I can't get past them lids. And how am I supposed to grow? When they set the table, so I asked if I could buy the company. Again, not that I'm some baller, right? I'm just some ding dong crippled dude. I'm like, we can make payment plan. And they're just like, no, dude, you too disabled. And they were nervous because I was such a quote unquote liability and whatnot. So it was like, well, man, if I can't own this place and do these things, I got to go. And they're like, there's the door. Oof. A little bit of balling. Okay, and I'm not real tough in some of those spaces. So I bounced, dude. I bounced like an idiot. And I had no job. I had no second income. That just a total moron when I think about it now. At the same time, geez, man, thank you, my brother Tom, because Tom was like, "Hey, why don't you live with us for a little bit?" So I left Bainbridge. I'd been living on Bainbridge for 15 years. Had set up a spot, man, and then went back to my bro's house. So my bro was on the fishbowl, right? My mom is, and stuff like that. So they sort of cared for me, helped me, and then the company hired me back as an independent contractor. So I did that for like a year and a half, and they were just like, "Dude, you need to leave." And I'm like, "Well, then fire me, bro." He's like, "You do too many." I'm like, "Dude, I left your company doing 6 jobs. Okay, you need 6 people to replace me, homeboy." And then he used some words, and I used some words. And sometimes it's funny when you use words because you forget you're disabled, right? And then
What's that look like? I'm gonna run your ass over.
dude, it was more like, I just remember this. Man, you come popping off a little bit, and we got onto a phone call. I said, "Man, you better check your words before they come out of your mouth. I'm gonna do something to it." And and then as I'm saying that, like I'm some street gang from the freaking Loop Road, you know, and uh, and and he immediately went into apology. And then that's where I learned a lot about dudes. Most dudes got a little bit of a bark, but they've got nothing else other than a bark. And then you come into a straight OG. Come on now. You can get ass beat by a quadriplegic. That hurts and is a bit shameful. Right? Like, you might not want to tell your own boys that you
Yeah.
got beat down by a quad and whatnot. So that's when I like, okay, I gotta go. And I had a person in my story, Judith, who was dying of cancer, and she was like, "You're made for more than this, dude." And she was using some words that were pretty real, pretty tough. I love that woman, man. I miss her. And so she bounced out her suit, and then I went ahead and quit. And then I started C4 because I was just making fun of my disability. I just thought it'd be funny.
So
And
C4
it's
that
my diagnosis.
yeah, that's where your
Yeah, bro.
that's where your fractures at.
Dude, yeah, yeah. I got a little bit of lead up in there, and it's still in there. I look funny when you get an X-ray of me. I look like I've been peppered. It's all in my jaw. I got fragments everywhere in my jaw, my throat, and then obviously in my spine. And so I thought it'd be funny. I'll start C4. Just a total idiot thinking I was going to do jokes. Like, oh, I think I might be a comedian. Maybe I could write a little bit. Just dumb stuff. But then I started getting phone calls from all them sticky notes. And they're like, "Hey, could you do some database work?" And I was like, "Well, you better pay me." They're like, "Yeah, no problem. How much you want?" And then I was like, I probably should ask somebody that. I don't know what to say. And so I started charging ridiculous amounts of nothing. You pay me in puka shells, right? Or give me a hug, and just idiot stuff. But here I am 12 years later, with C4 just rocking and locking. But yeah, that's how my whole business thing started, dude. I thought I was going to be some ding dong comedian writing scripts or something, having fun, and I did some of my comedy stuff, which was a lot of fun. But man, you ain't doing open mic nights, and gigs ain't crippled friendly. It's pretty funny when you watch, Norm, sweet God for Norm. Norm's in his 70s, and he put out the ramp for me to drive up onto the stage, and that's big enough just for the wheelchair and like a mic stand, and the whole room silent because of like, what are we watching? This,
and how should we react to
yeah,
these
and
jokes?
what do we?
Like, can
What
I laugh at this?
does he is the old man going to die on the stage, putting down the ramp, for this other grown ass man to drive up on that ramp? And then it was like, Norm, you got to hold my mic, because most mic stands are just sticks, right? They ain't doing what this monkey's doing. So now you got a quadriplegic on the stage that doesn't fit with his old ass bird holding the mic, dropping lines, and then people, you got people laughing, you got people crying, and I don't know if they're laughing because they're crying or they just because it's so sad, right? And then at the end you get the standing ovation, right? So I was starting to put it down, like this could be a thing, but you ain't making no monies, off of this, and so I had to make a decision. It was no, man, C4, I got to get nerded up. I just got to stay in the nerd space and just nerd hard,
Yeah.
and then hang out with other nerds. And then I don't know. C4 is a game of misfits, bro. You just got autism. You got people on spectrums. You got nightmares from guys doing tours in Iraq. I just love my company. I love my people, and I just want to be with my people, and I want to take care of people. I want patients to remain the primary focus.
And
And
so
not forget it.
you're doing work for other quadriplegics, other people who, or is it multifaceted?
So no, homeboy. So my clients are laboratories all across the country. Labs doing, clinical toxicology, whatever they're doing. So those are my clients. Now, some of the people that make up C4 got some issues. I've had some
Ten
cats.
for 10 for.
I've had some cats in wheelchairs, but right now we just a bunch of most of them are able bodied, but we all got stories. Got some older birds too.
Got
Got
it.
some young
Yeah, yeah.
bloods, and I like doing internship type stuff and whatnot. So yeah, man, I'm the only employee, and will always be. Everybody else is a 1099, contractors, and that just works for me, man. I just C4. I just want to love on people where and when appropriate. And Jesus is my biz dev. If Jesus if Jesus wants me to go work with somebody, he brings them to me. I don't have sales.
Yeah. So
I
what
don't do any of that.
what do you see as your ROI that you're bringing? Because you brought that up, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
man. Yeah. So we've been positive every year since we've been in biz. And we make just enough monies to pay everybody and to pay the bills. You know, okay, that's just what it is. I now get to pay myself, so that's cool. I didn't pay myself for a minute. And honestly, I borrowed money from my lady, right? Which is that's whole jacked up too, because you getting into some marriage with some lady, and you're like, hey, I'm coming a little bit incorrect,
I'm going to come up a little short this
yeah,
month.
dude, I was trying to pay for a date, trade for a date. Oh, Manna, that little joint down in Port Orchard. And man, we just got done doing a little bit of num nums, and I gave him my credit card, and it got declined. And she come back and she's like, "Yeah, this card didn't work." And I was like, "I can clean dishes, but it's gonna look rough, you know." And I got a pretty big tongue. And Karen was like, "I'll take care of this one." And I looked at her and I was just like, "Man, I'm a good dude. I'm true, but I'm Poe. I got nothing. I got nothing." And she's like, "I'll ride with you." And so now we're a little bit more equal, but
Yeah.
back in the day, we was nothing.
So
Baby
what?
girl.
But you had mentioned earlier your ROI for the Lord, for Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Yeah. You said, hey, I'm supposed to be gone at 20 or
Yep.
45.
You're still here.
Might be looking at 65.
Maybe.
So what does that look like? I mean, what do you see as?
So I think part of me is just demonstrating possibility, demonstrating work, demonstrating surrender, demonstrating forgiveness, demonstrating reality. Uh, Pain and suffering is real. I think pain is the rent that you pay to be in a human earth suit. I feel like suffering can be a bit of a choice, and I get to determine how bad I want to suffer or not suffer.
Mm.
And I subscribe to different tools and mechanisms to help me understand suffering and to push through suffering. So I've been getting calls to, show us how you use your technology, right? Because the whole house is automated, right? Windows, blinds, and all that stuff, and doors. So you just show people, I didn't do this in a minute. I've been doing this for 36 plus years. And I feel like that's where my investment, into the humans that I'm supposed to be impressed upon. I got a couple humans that call me on a regular basis that want to chat and share, a little bit of heartache. So I do some of that too. But man, I don't know, bro. I selfishly, I'm just glad I'm married. Like I didn't think I was ever gonna get married. And I'd shut that down. I didn't think I was gonna have an opportunity to be a stepdad. And so I am. And I'm a business guy, and I'm just trying to spend more time in the RV. I'm just living maybe as quote unquote normal as much as possible life. And I'm grateful for my story and grateful for my life. And I'm in progress and I'm willing to be in progress. I'm willing to lead with my limp. I'm willing to share everything about me. Just please note that it's pretty raw and it's pretty real. And it's for some and it's not for some. But everybody likes when I come speak or share my story. Everybody's always a little bit perplexed on my approach, and everybody always appreciates it. It's like, dude, you coming different, and so I'm like, okay, well, maybe that's what I can do, So I've been trying that and getting that figured out. I don't know.
How
That's where I'm at.
and how long have you been married?
Man, Boo Boo and I have been married for a minute, so this coming Sunday will be our 11 years.
Yeah. Amen.
Right? 11, right? Yeah. Shoot, dude.
What year were you married? We could do the math.
Yeah, that'd be good. 2013.
There you go. Good job, man.
I did it.
That
right.
is 11. Yeah.
I did that, bro.
Yeah, I think
I
there's
did on my own.
carry the one.
Carry that one, son.
there's no ones to carry, so we're on that, man.
Dude,
that's why when I taught middle school math, man. Keep it.
We from B-Town, bro. Dude, man, sometimes my homeboy, I love Tom, man. You should do Tom at some point.
Yeah.
If he'll grace you with his presence, Tom.
Yeah, we'll see.
We always giggle.
We talked about it.
Good. Keep doing it. We always giggle on words because we don't know how to read. We don't talk right. So I knew this word was wrong, but I didn't want to say it out loud to anybody who then I love. And I was like, so this one client of mine's in Yosemite. Baby girl. I was on speakerphone with my business partner, Emily, who I call Dubs, and then baby girl, my wife, Karen. And they both started laughing. And they're like, yeah, it's called Yosemite. But am I sounding it out right? And they're like, yeah, dude, you obviously learned a little different. So I called my bro. I was like, I'm like, bro, you ever been to Yosemite? And he's like, I love going to Yosemite. Did you feel like an idiot? And I was like, dude, I feel like a moron the whole day. And he's like, yeah, how about them hors d'oeuvres? And I'm like, what's that? He's like, that's hors d'oeuvres. And I was like, what's wrong with us, baby? And he's like, dude, we don't know how to read, son. And I was like, man, let's just stay together. And then I remember one time, these stupid USB drives, and me and Tom were hanging out. And he was like, what's this attache for? And I was like, you idiots, called attache. And he's like, oh, big spender. And then I remember I was on the phone one time and they were asking me where this company was from. I was like, yeah, I'm on the internet right now. I'm on their website. It's from the Czech Republic. And, and the lady's like, where? And then I remember a coworker walked over, whispered in my ear. And she whispered, and she said, you an idiot. It's called Czech Republic. And I was like, oh, I'm sorry. I'm going
to stick with the Czech, babe.
Dude, and here's the most recent one. I'm in my 40s, bro. And I bought a Chevrolet Traverse. There's a T at the end of that. Okay. I've been saying Chevrolet for months. Boo Boo thought I was just being silly. Okay. And we were getting the insurance. And I was like, yeah, I got that Chevrolet. she looks at me and I'm like, what's up? She's like, that's silent, right? I'm like, why was it silent? It's there. It's at the end. She's like, baby, don't say the T. I'm like, we'll see what happens. I think we do. And then the lady on the phone's like, yeah, okay, so you got a Chevrolet. And I was like, do you not say the T at the end? And she's like, no, sir, you don't say the T at the end. And I was like, well, shit, man, I grew up calling them, with the bow ties, the Chevy, the heavy, right? No one ever said to me the full
Chevrolet.
Yeah, no one ever said the whole word. Right, I'm grown, right? I got to work, I got to pay bills. I got no time for no T at the end. So anyway, that's probably my most recent idiocy, on them reading. I just don't do good with some of that stuff. But anyways, this is real.
Yeah,
this is real, and Tom knows. So Tom, I just love my brother, man. He's like the funniest person I've ever met. I love being with him. I love his story, and I just love doing life with him, man.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jesus, for putting him in my story.
Yeah.
I like all my siblings too. I mean, it's really neat. We got that family unit that we can agree to disagree because we don't all agree on some of the same things,
Sure, man.
but we don't hate each other for it. You know, we don't beef, and we cool with it, which is really really neat to say that. Especially that last 5 years, man. The pandy, oof, man, and pandy did some pandy things, but you know, we're our family. We still whole, still real.
Yeah.
Yeah,
How are we doing there, man? I heard a ding.
yeah.
You,
I told the phone to go to silent, but
yeah.
clearly that silent means it still want to ding a little bit.
It's on its own time, man.
No, we good, man. Everybody knows don't be touching tea until 3 o'clock. So we solid. But
Yeah.
I'm gonna need another sip of that tea
Yeah.
though,
Here it comes, man.
because it's getting dry up in here a little bit. Mm-hmm. Man, that loose leaf is where it's at.
Makes me think of McDonald's when you slurp that thing right down to the bottom.
Did I get it done, bro? Every drop is you want a healthy bladder. You know, you need over 3 liters a day. So this is what it is.
Yeah.
It's funny when you have purpose. This is a weird one. I think when you have purpose, you want to fight different. You know, you don't got purpose. Well, then why are we fighting? What we doing? Right. But man, when you get purpose, something powerful about purpose. And I just think it's neat, like to have Karen in my story. Man, she provides a next level purpose, you know, and that's pretty neat. Now, there's other things in my story too, but maybe I'll just vent on this one for a minute. You know, just it's Karen, man. She's an amazing human with her own really unique story, and now we could do story together. And it's just like, well, dang, man, we're now you're with me and I'm with you. Well, I wouldn't want to get a little bit more done. You know, why wouldn't I want to do that? You know, we could do this together. And there's something really fascinating about purpose. And finding purpose is, I think, really important. I don't know, man. I was a weird mental, but I just sort of in that a little bit recently because there's just so many things going down, and some of my homies, you know, sick in the hospital, and crazy stuff going on in the world, and all this stuff that I don't have enough education to even know about. You know, you hang out with other people, everybody's sort of pissed. There's so many pissed off people right now. Everybody's just danked, you know, and mad. And it's just easy to stay mad. You know, everybody's on that fentanyls, right? Everybody's got them heroines. That house across the street, man, front door's got that ooh wee, and that side door got them sticks. And you could just see people coming in and out there every day, every day, every day. See that body bag come out of that house across the street. And you know, Popo's there. I've seen people rush up in there. You know, I've seen naked people on the outside just getting pissed. You see coked out and just people on the edge of the street. And I was just like, man, what? It's so easy to go there. It's inviting, you know, and then especially when the people around you that are supposed to take care of you want you to go there too. It's like, man, well, why am I doing what I'm doing? You know, why do I want to keep doing this? And I don't know, there's something about purpose that makes you want to maintain, you know, in the game and just get after it.
Yeah. What do you like with your wife? What do you find? What's that purpose look like for you in marriage? Because marriage, it's been super easy, right?
I just want to touch this mic with my nose tip because I can, because I'm crippled. Deal with it. So yeah, bro, I just never thought a woman would give me a time, and man, she did, bro. And it was like being given the opportunity to love somebody. It's pretty fresh. It's pretty fresh. I recommend it. Um, and with her, because of her military, you know, I'm not trying to dig on other stuff, but she's full on commander, right? You when you come into a game with somebody who's already been through it, right? She's already married once, she's a couple kids, and so she already knows. I remember like 2 months into our marriage, I come popping off like I was some big dog, and man, that didn't go well. And then and then she was in charge that night to put me to bed. right? So I come off like I'm this, that, and the others, and now she's doing bed routine, but she didn't bring that with her to put me to bed.
Ooh,
She she was just my loving wife putting me to bed,
man.
and I'm crying the entire time she's put me in bed. Right, that's like an hour, bro.
Mm.
And I just remember after that moment, it was like, well, one, don't do that, you idiot. Two, you just got to see a demonstration from a human who can, yeah, maybe you'd say compartmentalize, but you got someone who's making choices on,
Mm.
you might have wronged me a bit, but I don't need to hold that, right? That's gone,
Yeah.
that's over with. And I saw, thank God it happened like 2 months in the marriage. Hasn't happened since. So that's good. Karen allows me to be a husband, and she allows me to be broken. She allows me to make my choices, and she encourages me just to make good choices. I mean, we were in the kitchen in the cathedral some years back, and I was popping off, right, judging ass on everything, just popping hard. Well, this dude should be at this point by his time. You look what I did. And she was like, why can't you just love, the love? Why can't you love somebody whether in a valley or where they're on the top of the mountain? And I was like, what are you talking about?
Wow, man.
What are you trying to bring to me? And she's like, I'm just trying to bring truth to you. And why can't you just love to love? And so that changed my whole game. I had to rewrite that whole script. 6 months into Pandy, we's out doing the walk, just trying to get outside a little bit, everybody's 400 feet away from each other. And I was like, hey, you would teach. Yeah, teach. How am I doing? I'm a quadriplegic, man. I've been in the pandemic, for 30 years. I got this on point. She's like, no, you're horrible. You're just horrible. Y'all give you a C minus. If you want a grade on how you doing in the pandy. And I was like, what? I was like, why am I at a C? I'm pretty good at this whole quarantine business. Been quarantined for decades. She's like, man, yeah, you're making it all about you. The mission isn't about your convenience.
Ooh,
And I had to stop.
damn.
Stop right in the road.
So say that again. It's not,
Yeah, the mission is not about your convenience.
man, right.
Yeah, write it down, man. That should be
Mission is not about your
that should
convenience.
be on a shirt or at least a sticker. When you leave today, you need to take some stickers with you. By the way, I'm into stickers, and I got C4 stickers made.
Oh, nice. I dude, I have stickers all over this thing.
Yeah,
I'll get
stickers are
put one
great.
on there.
It was like kindergarten was fantastic, man. If I
Yeah.
get a star, or a smiley face, man, I was in, bro. So I'll do shit for stickers. I just swore a little bit,
Dude, that's another shirt. So we got the mission.
Yeah, is basically the mission is not about your convenience.
Mission is not about your convenience.
Yeah, that's basically what she's saying. And so that had to make me rethink a little bit, as an older person, and then just, wow, this is who I want to be around. I want to be around someone that, she doesn't really judge. It doesn't even exist in her story. Yeah, she might have some firm boundaries on certain things,
Amen, man.
but she don't. Man, she's just here to be, here to love. And then she nuggling up with a quadriplegic, on most nights. We just get into beds, and I lay on my side because that's what they taught me and back in 87. So I've been laying on my left side for 36 years. Sure, that's gonna do damage at some point. And I have to sleep with a computer because it's all about being grown and being independent. And I can turn on everything I need from the computer in my bed. I can work from the computer in my bed. I could be independent, so Boo Boo, she's all up on me, on the side of me because she's a nuggler too. Thank God I married a nuggler. And so, I'm all laid over with the monitor, the computer, and we watching some YouTube, my favorite YouTuber is Hoop GP. He's out of Scotland and he takes care of cows' hooves, right? So I'm really into Hoop GP. And she's really into Terrell, which is a cat that we think down in like Alabama, and he clears out beaver dams, right? So we in. Okay, this is the stuff that we watching, bro. Like we're like so thick up in
Beavers and horseshoes.
Dude, bro, I got swag, dude. I purchased Hoop GP. I got a Hoop GP hoodie. I got mugs. I mean, this is the next level. But I don't know. The other day, the other day, when I was waking up, and she was sleeping next to me. She practically on me, man. And she had a lot of weight like on my head, like maybe her arm and her head was on my, I don't know exactly because I can't see up anything behind me. But my mouth was lower than the mouse. So to get up to move the mouse on the computer,
Oh,
I had to come up to it. Now that might only be like centimeters, but I had to come up to it. And it was hard. It was very, very hard. And I remember just, I don't need to use the mouse right now. How about you just freaking enjoy what you've been given? So I just relaxed up a little bit, and I just let her speak. And Lord was just like, I got you. I got you, man. And so those feelings, those moments is what pushes me through the BS and the pain and the suffering and the nightmare. And didn't ask for this disability. I didn't want this disability. Did not want to be a part of that event. But here I am at 45, still here. And right now I'm getting squished in the name of Nuggle. And I'm okay with it. Find the moments, man. Find those joy moments and hold on to the joy moments, because you don't know when the next joy moment comes. So I just hold it with a death grip, and I'm excited for the next moment of joy.
Yeah.
And just beyond blessed, that baby girl just riding and dying with me and just bringing truth. She's so freaking blunt. I love that about her. You got a good lady in your story, dude.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Isn't that nice?
Oh yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, marriage is not for the faint of heart.
No, it's not.
It's not like the movies.
Not at all, man.
But it's awesome. I mean, my wife. People say, oh yeah, when Jody walks in the room, man, it's just I've had a number of people, different situations, say, man, when your wife walks into the room, man, you can feel it. It's just calm.
Yep.
And the fortunate and unfortunate thing about marriage is you're out here living your own life, right? Then you come together. The Lord says, with these two, I'll make one.
Mm-hmm.
You become one. Well, when you become one, you start becoming a little bit like the other person, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So when you're a calm person, or like if I'm married to a calm person, man, she's starting to bring me to the calm side.
Yeah, yeah.
What the other side of that coin is, though, right?
She brings up a little bit.
Is that she's got to put up with my stuff, and she's got to be, I told her, man, I don't want to live with another me, man. So stay you, because yeah, dude, she's yeah, like her beauty outside is, yeah, I mean, top of the world, man. But that her inside, man, it is marvels that. And yeah, I mean, there's just, yeah, I mean, you're living it, man, and it is beautiful. Yeah, and there is a picture in marriage of humility and growth, and like that whole iron sharpens iron. We use that with brotherhood a lot too. But when you are married, you have to, that purpose, right? You have to hope to sharpen the other person as well, but also be willing to be sharpened.
Yep.
And grow and change and become more dazzling yourself, man. Yeah. And that's the reality is that I am 100% a better person.
Yep.
Married to my wife. Yeah, man. So
we just did our wills, and that's a fun dialogue, by the way. We're doing wills and power of attorneys and stuff. And she's like, yeah, well, I croak out, you got next. And I said, well, BS, babe. No, you crock out. I'm crocking out about 70 seconds after you crock out.
Yeah.
Now I'll find something to crock out in. No, babe, I can't be in the cathedral, without you. So it's pretty funny just having some of those real, like, no, we are one. We are one. And I can't think about what life would look like without that part of me. It's wild, man. There's some weird thoughts.
Yeah.
Glad you got a good one, bro.
Yeah. I think about, um, you were talking about finding joy, and you're talking about,
Mm-hmm.
struggling and daily struggles, yearly struggles, stuff from the past still coming up, and,
Yeah.
being married, all that stuff, man. I look at, I hear count it all joy, the trials that you go through.
Mm-hmm.
Romans 5, talks about, these tribulations, these trials, these hard moments, these struggles
Yeah.
create perseverance, right? Because you have to, if you're going to continue, you have to go through it.
Amen.
And then that develops a character, and with that character we get hope, right?
I like it.
And yeah, I mean, in your story is a lot of trial, man. I mean, and it's not just you've got big moments of a trauma in your life, right?
Mm-hmm.
With your father, your with your incident, but that carries with it this inherent struggle daily,
Mm-hmm.
and you push through, man. You
Absolutely.
persevere. And here we are listening to your jokes. We're listening to your overcoming. We're listening to your marriage story.
Yeah.
We're listening to hope, man. We're finding joy, and man, that's a beauty there. But one thing that I would love,
Mm-hmm.
from your perspective, I mean, there's all this talk about masculinity and macho man and jacked up trucks and big beards. You got a big beard, you're rocking that. Um, but those are all the superficial parts of a person, right? What would you say? I want to hear what you would advise people raising young men, or young men coming up. Like, what are the things that they should hold on to, or what are the things that we should be passing on? How should we be with these young men? Because they're all going to look different. They're all going to have their own different trials,
Amen.
right?
I don't know if I have, specific words other than what I've shared, in my story. And just to be truthful for a minute, it's hard to see you because of all this gear. So I keep finding myself looking at the wall. So I apologize if you're getting the feeling like I'm not looking at you, but I'm not, because it's a little challenging
Sure,
to go
gotcha.
through the gear. But no disrespect. Um, yeah, this mailman. Everything starts with a story, I guess. This mailman, I call him Crooked Foot, and his legs were all jacked up and his like knees knocked. And he was a postman. I don't know where he's at now. He's still alive, but he'd come drop off the mail. He didn't like our dogs. And pretty funny. Watch Crooked Foot run backwards down the driveway. You saw how steep our driveway is, and I think he thought the dogs were going to kill him. And anyway, he backed down Crooked Foot into his truck. So one day he come up, and I could tell it was Crooked Foot. And I was like, all right, I'm going to go out there and get this handled. And so what he did is that he opened up the back of the mail. So he crawled from the driver's seat to the back of the mail truck without getting out. Okay, this is commitment. And he done slid open the door and just pushed the boxes out onto the asphalt. And I was just like, bro, I can't pick those up. I can't put those on the designated area right there that says clearly put packages here. And he's like, yeah, but your dogs, man. I was like, dude, dogs ain't nowhere near. Bro, we good. You trust me? He's like, I'll trust you. So he crooked footed out and grabbed the boxes, put them in the designated area. And then he looks at me and he goes, so how did you get married? And I said, what? He goes, how'd you find a woman that's cool, with you? I said, well, I guess I'll start with my first question back to you. I said, do you like yourself?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah, man.
you spent a minute on that. And I said, I guess I also then follow up with, do you actually love yourself? So that's all where I need to go right now, man. You tackle those two, and then we'll have some more dialogue. I've never seen him again, but there's something about it, man. Ain't no spouse gonna fix your ass. That's not how that works. So I just try to come correct with learning and growth and age and dialogue with a lot of different humans in my story. But I feel source of masculinity, source of just being a good human, just being a human. You gotta be okay with yourself, and if you're okay with yourself, then I think you're open to invitation for others to join. You. So that's where I'm going to start, bro. I got no big trucks. Yeah, anatomically I got a pecker, but a pecker don't work, and pecker hasn't been out for decades, right? So you're just like, why am I even looking down? I don't even get that, but that's weird. Uh, No, man, masculinity is a whole nother level, and for me and my story, my masculinity is I'm always in progress. I actually like myself. I love myself. That took decades. Okay. Um, and that I'm here just to purely demonstrate to my left and to my right what does story look like for me. That's it. That's it. Do you hope and pray that to your left and to your right, maybe get some of that, or figure out in their own story, and then they demonstrate that to their left and to the right, and then that multiplied by X, changes things. I can't be stressing and flexing on. I don't have enough time just to figure out my own story. So I'm just going to try to demonstrate who I am in a way that I think is inviting,
Mm.
and and it's through real, and it's through raw, and it's through grace, and it's through love. That's sort of where I'm at, man. And you know, I don't. I don't got big trucks and the balls that hang off the little thing in the back. I don't quite get that, and balls don't even look right. But I don't get any of that stuff. I don't know. Man, I just got to get up, man. I got to do what I'm told, and I got to be okay with me. And if I can demonstrate me in hopes that other people's can go, oh wow, I didn't recognize that in my story, or maybe through that I can do something in my story. That's how I operate. And then I guess the other thing I would say too is, man, sure, fail. The whole game is failure. Learn how to fail forward. I think it might be a title of a book, but fail forward, fail often, fail every day. Nothing wrong with failing, man. Just fail forward. Bring people with you in your failure. Dialogue on your failure. And that's sort of where, in my mind, if I look at young people nowadays, it just sort of seems like there's such a fear of failure that don't even start. And I don't know, man. I think we all have moments, but I like failing. It means I'm here, and it means I'm alive. And I just don't want to. My only selfish prayer: I don't hurt somebody when I fail. I don't really like that idea. Thank God,
Yeah.
I have more than not on the hurting people in my failing. So I'm really really gracious for that. But that's sort of where I'm at, dude. In my situation.
Yeah, man. Brother, I love it. Yeah, I mean that's just a reminder, man. We are created by the Almighty
Yeah,
Creator, man.
yeah,
He knew us, knew
yep,
us before, knew us in the womb,
yep.
predestined us, chose us, died for us, coming again for us. I mean, it's there, and it is hard. I mean, for me too. Um, in my story, to be happy in my skin all the time, and just to remember, like, man, I love that. I'll take that with me. That just be you, man.
Yeah,
And people, I mean, um, there's commercials, just be yourself,
right.
be all you can be, all that. And people tell you, yeah, just be yourself, be yourself. But that, man, that is not always easy.
No, it's not.
Um, Man, this has been a joy, man.
Well, good.
It's been a great time.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Let me clarify one thing too, just be on the safe side. I want to be me for sure. And I want to keep being me for sure. ... I'm in progress. And I'm working on self to continue to keep being who I am. I've been on this trek for a minute, and I just want to make sure that I'm come across clear, come across correct. Is that, oh, I'm me, and what you get is me. But man, he's love, he's grace. He's in progress. So next Monday, Todd might be a little different than today, Wednesday, Todd.
Yeah, and that's in the other, I think, clarifying piece too is that to say, oh, that's just who I am.
Right.
That's some bullshit line.
Totally.
Like, I mean, that's 100%. Like when people say, well, that's just how I am. That's
caca.
No, that is an unfinished man.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and we all are, man. We need to be refined daily. Like, go through that fire.
Yep.
Go through that, polishing, man. Just,
yep.
And don't be afraid to. I mean, there's going to be blemishes in our life, man, and those blemishes, man, it makes a beautiful piece, man.
Agree. Yeah. At some point, I hope somebody does your podcast, bro. Somebody sits down with you and hears some of the mug stories and whatnot. That'd be neat.
Yeah.
So
I love you, brother. Man,
love you too.
Dude, I love that you still call me Muggs, man. It makes me feel young.
So does Tommy. To call you, man.
Yeah, so does Tommy, man. He still calls me that. My siblings, some of my siblings still call me that. And yeah, and thanks to my young brother Mike, who just couldn't say Marty when he was young. Came out Muggs.
I love it. Baby girl was like, "Why you call him Muggs?" I said, "Boo boo, I don't even know. I've only ever known him as Muggs. Like, I don't like my phone says Marty. But I feel like I want to change my phone to say Muggs. But I'm weird about that stuff. So I'll be right name, right last name. A bunch of BS. But yeah, dude, you Muggs, bro. Thank you for being willing to come to the cathedral and hang out in a hot room.
This is a sweet spot, man.
Just do life a little bit.
Yeah.
I do want to show you Big Sexy, though, before you leave.
Big Sexy.
That's my motorhome, bro.
Oh, yeah. I saw that thing coming up.
I bet you did, dude.
I did.
Big and thick. Yep. Even my wife's like, "Oh, Big and Thick is ready." I'm like, Big and Thick got polished last week. She got cleaned up a little bit. Oh man, Big and Thick is ready to ride.
Dude, people can pull little bits out of this thing and be like, what was your podcast about, man? This guy's talking about Big and Thick.
You listen to the whole one, bro. He gonna make you laugh and tear a little bit if you're normal.
Yeah, but they do that stuff to the Bible all day long, right?
All day long. Yeah, all day long. Yeah, read the whole thing.
Yeah, read the whole thing and then give me the story.
Yep, yeah, man. No, Big Sexy's where it's at, and we get back out riding her here in a couple months. We're going back cross country again, like we did last year, and we just love doing life, man. Just doing life and doing it well, and it's hard, but it's real. Yeah. And I'm just blessed to be able to do it with somebody who really is quite significant.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Cool, baby.
All right.